Hello there, boys and girls. What Culture Wrestling's Adam Cleaver here, and I'm just going to get straight to the point with this one. AEW's first ever show on Saturday night, Double or Nothing, was an almost inconceivable triumph. Like, look, we were there. It was brilliant. Just to put all of this into a quick bit of context, it was the digital success of All In that has led us to this. Both the social media impressions, the viewership, all of that. And Double or Nothing didn't just dwarf that, it absolutely quadrupled it. And even beyond the critical acclaim of WWE's legions of disenfranchised viewers, we've even had people like AOC, yes, her from the politics, putting Cody Rhodes over after the show. The bottom line you need to keep in mind before we go into the rest of this video is that AEW didn't just seduce the wrestling world this weekend, it flat out penetrated the mainstream. But what's this video about, Adam? I hear you banging on your laptop screens if you think I can hear you for 1 second. Well, the point is that for a company that lent very heavily on a gambling aesthetic this weekend, it now holds several hands over its competition. Like, hands as in hands of cards, not like it's, you get it. AEW absolutely radiated both cool and danger throughout the show, and it all built to this incredible climax where Jon Moxley came through the crowd to cut off Chris Jericho's borderline masturbatory promo. Like, he just stood on the ropes, he breathed in the acclaim and the air and everything. He cut this big roar, he planted both Jericho and the referee with the dirty deeds, and it just oozed cool, it oozed danger. Everyone was just high on this act of defiance and revolution. It was just, if you weren't there, I don't know if I can describe it to you, but just, my God. But even before all that, you had the likes of MJF nearly stealing the entire show with this brilliantly cut promo on both Hangman Page and Bret Hart. And then you had Cody versus Dustin, which actually was the thing that stole the entire show, with a match that was as brutal as it was beautiful. And then in the fallout, you realized, oh my God, they've actually set up 4 brilliant matches going forward without us really even noticing. We're going to get Cody and Dustin versus the Young Bucks. We're going to get Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. And at some point, Hangman Page is going to have to face both MJF and then Chris Jericho. Talent was afforded the agency to connect unforgettably with the crowd. We had the manifest promise of long-term storytelling, the proper treatment of tag team wrestling, a thrilling and incredible throwback to the days of talent jumping between brands, unregulated comedic creativity that, at the very least, marked AEW as an alternative. All of this converged to make Double or Nothing's various promises an awesome manifest reality. In wrestling terms, that is a royal flush. AEW holds all the cards for things that fans like to see. And if you go back and you watch the entire show, the sheer tonal difference from match to match to match is spectacular. Now, before you all pile down in the comments and leave various cerebral insights like, oh my God, what culture jacking off over AEW? This was not, categorically was not, the best wrestling show of 2019. The best wrestling show of 2019 was TakeOver New York. I was at both of them. I can tell you that that one was better than Double or Nothing. But what Double or Nothing had, that TakeOver New York didn't, was it was incredibly easy to watch. You see, the thing is, when WWE is good, the rare occasions that it is genuinely objectively brilliant, it's still always this weird endurance test. The pacing, the run times of the shows, all of it basically mean that so many great matches get lost to both the wrestlers and the crowd being so fatigued, and then other things in the mid-card just get lost entirely. See, without pulling back the curtain too much, WWE's matches are always very well patterned. You can normally predict when the heat spot is going to come almost to the exact second. They force their wrestlers to use limited movesets, to do things in time with commercial breaks. It's not as free-flowing as it could be, and that's before we even get on to the absolute afterthought that is tag team wrestling. If I want to be kind about this, I would say that WWE is occasionally over-familiar in the way that it presents its programming and its matches, but if I didn't want to be kind, I would say that it has become an abject joke that has gotten so bad now, it has spawned the very competition we are here talking about. But in contrast to that, and this is the one thing I really want you to take away from this video, Double or Nothing was just this giant celebration of the variety, the diversity, and the colour of professional wrestling. For a start, the Casino Battle Royale incorporated all the niche comedy that has revolutionised the independent scene over the last few years. Then the opening match proper, SoCal Uncensored vs Strong Hearts, folded in a classic drama of American tag wrestling. Britt Baker's fatal 4-way victory over Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong maintained interest, particularly through Ray's eye-catching, fierce feminine spirit. The Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans delivered the sort of soaring, high-flying action that's been tethered to 205 Live. Then that 6-woman tag team Ripper was particularly effective in expanding the boundaries of the show. It had all that wonderful Japanese charm, killer neck-first action, and badass last stand psychology. The match was both off-kilter comedy delight and the most brutal of serious business. Cody versus Dustin Rhodes was as timelessly brilliant as the old-school dynamic promised. Just a palpably emotional bloodbath worked by a new megastar on an old master. Both unbearable and so compelling the molten crowd had to bear it, it appealed to even the most staunch of curmudgeons. Those fans perhaps so adverse to modern wrestling that they stopped watching it altogether. Then there was the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers delivering on the state-of-the-art superwork that is the Elite's calling card in a match that also boasted the richest psychology. Matt and Nick Jackson revealed the interior lives of their rusty on-screen characters in a dramatic spectacle that was loaded with nuance and just ouch. And yes, while the main event wasn't the most spectacular Kenny Omega match you're ever going to see, it still set a convincing tone of pure blood feud hatred. And I mean, come on, the immersion aspect and the legitimacy allowed fans to suspend their disbelief. For 23 minutes 50 seconds, the two off-screen friends performed as if they legitimately despised one another in the sort of deeply personal match sorely missing from wrestling in 2019. And I mean, you can whisper this one ever so slightly, but when Kenny Omega does finally unveil this perfect, polished version of himself in this company, it means that AEW fans are going to get to see the greatest wrestler of all time in the most critically acclaimed generation that has ever lived. That is still to come. What I mean by all this is that AEW's Double or Nothing was a love letter to every single subset of wrestling fandom. They went out to seduce every single type of wrestling fan out there, no matter what it is they like, and judging by the reaction, the buzz, the coverage, everything, they have succeeded. And the thing is, and this is the real game changer, this isn't just an advantage that AEW has over WWE, they pretty much have it over everyone. And I know, yes, that might sound a little bit crazy given just how much variety there is out there, but just think about this one for a minute. Like, take New Japan, for example. People who don't watch New Japan don't think there's much variety in it, but there really is. People think it's all these long, drawn-out, hard-hitting, neck stuff matches that go on for 30 minutes and always get 5 stars, but there is a lot of variety in there. They present this big fight feel with numerous wrestling genres in it, but still, they don't do any women's wrestling despite a recent groundswell of support, and their tag team division leaves a lot to be desired. Like, the matches are usually quite good, but the booking is largely inconsistent. They tend to be about the big matches. NXT, for example, is often logical, not to a fault necessarily, but certainly to its own detriment. Like, the best performers in the company tend to get logical, consistent booking that sees them move their way up the ranks and achieve precisely what we expect them to achieve. And there's this dry quality to the way its stories are told. And that's great. It has given us some brilliant matches, some great rivalries, but we don't really tend to get many shocks or wild bits of storytelling. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been times where those takeover shows have been the only thing I've actually been living for, but regardless, it's never made NXT TV feel absolutely unmissable. Like, I've never sat bolt upright in bed on a Thursday and gone, oh my god, I need to find out what happened with Oni Logan. Like, it's never been the feeling that gives you. So you've got New Japan that is beholden to its own tradition, NXT that is beholden to WWE's vision, and as a result, neither of them will ever be all things to all fans. Plus, and this might matter slightly more, neither brand really offers a accessible week-to-week viewing experience, does it? Like, have you ever tried to use New Japan World to keep track of any storyline going on over there? It's all like 50 menus and you got to jump between here and there just to find out what's going on. Like, my mother refers to me as a computer person, and even I cannot figure that out. And while yes, the network has NXT and that's very easy to navigate, the way they book stuff for television, given that WWE is trying to keep track of these performers and want to test them out in various different ways, mean that the writing is usually quite uneven, let's say. Basically, and this is kind of a nice problem to have, I suppose, you can have too much of a good thing, even if that good thing is some of the best professional wrestling in the world, and that is the problem that NXT and New Japan have. They are both the absolute best, but there's still too much of them. And that might just be the thing that Double or Nothing suggests about AEW's long-term future. The sheer variety on that show might be their greatest strength. Wrestling fan bases are already super served by the things they like, so if you don't exhaust them by just hitting them with that one thing over and over and over, you give them an easy to consume, easy accessible, long-term television package. You give them unmissable TV week on week. And yes, you can't just sign a Jon Moxley for every single show, but you can at least provide that unpredictability for all your live events. Who knows who could show up? Who knows what could happen? Who knows how the matches could go? We don't currently have that. You see, the thing is, AEW is headed up by 5 very intelligent men in this business, and they all have their own individual distinctive specialty when it comes to booking the product. And thus, from the evidence we've seen already, which is admittedly not all that much, I'll grant you they have been able to pull all that knowledge together to give us a product that is both diverse but still coherent. You see, WWE might have this idea of a universe, but from what we've seen, AEW might actually have a universe of ideas. And that's a way better dig to make at the company than smashing up a throne or putting Easter eggs on a coffee cup. And yeah, right, admittedly, we do have to caveat all of these by saying that they have done one show, precisely one show, with no television yet, so of course, absolutely anything could happen. But regardless, that is our take on it. Let us know yours in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Cleary, and I will see you soon. Yeah, soon. We'll go with soon. Yeah. Bye.